Nobody knows what you mean.
That's stressful. Anyway, before we started this, we were talking about
Oh my god.
the most All-American teams we've ever seen in the NCAA who have been serious threats to win the championship. We started off talking about Gonzaga, who looks amazing this year. We're talking about Jalen Suggs, the freshman that already looks like an NBA player physically, taking all type of contact. His first bucket was an alley-oop dunk on Marcus Garrett. You know that, right?
I saw him.
Like, weren't they considering Marcus Garrett like one of the best perimeter defenders? Like last year,
he is in college basketball.
So that is just like a crazy like first opening bucket. Like just like, the symbolism of it is amazing. And then just like the stuff that he's doing in transition and like just not being able to get stopped at the rim with Kansas being so physically strong. But yeah, it's really what is it? Corey Kispert?
I think it's Kispert. I think that's how it's Yes.
And Drew Timme, the real faces of Gonzaga. And we're just comparing them to the 2011 Duke Blue Devils, who give me the same vibe when they're best players like Nolan Smith and Kyle Singler.
Yeah. And the Plumlees, Mason and Miles, with the Seth Curry there as well. And Seth Curry's so light-skinned, I ain't gonna say it, but you know, very all-American, as you say. Like if you hate a Duke team, this 2011 Kyle Singler team is like the reason you hate Duke teams. You know what I mean? Because
depending on how old you are.
Depending on how old you are, but like, you know, people of our age group, right? 2011 is like what? 2011 I was a junior in high school. So, like, old enough to be paying attention to all kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know. It's like, when I was playing at Fisk, right? And we would play against a white team. Like, when we played against a black team, we would just, you know, we go out there and, hey, you know, like, any typical game, you do it, whatever, right? And then, we would go out there and play, like, a white school, whatever, with, like, one black kid or, like, no black kids, whatever. An all-white team. And we go out there and, you know, you have certain dudes on the team being like, no, we about to whoop them. We about to whoop these white boys. Woo! You know, they getting hyped about whooping these white boys. And then the white boys play so fundamental and whoop us. Which happened a lot. Like, it happened, like, way too much. And it's so demeaning. Like, it really, like, you really feel, because you more, you know, in warm-ups, you over here doing, you know, the DeMar DeRozan 360 layups, and you over here doing the between-the-leg dunks and all kind of stuff, and they just spot up, shoot, one dribble, right hand, spot up, shoot. You know, it's basic fundamentals. All of a sudden, you get out there, all the flair and all, don't even matter. Don't even matter. And I will tell you right now, as a person who played basketball for their whole life on a lot of black teams, getting beat by an all-white team is one of the most hurtful. It hurts you on the inside. Like, getting beat by an all-white team really hurts your inside because, like, man, this is America. You've been watching basketball your whole life. You know, the best basketball players in the world are just black. You know, excuse me, most of college players are black. And all of a sudden, you, like, you know, you just follow in line with, like, a mindset that came before you and has been there for a long time. And then it just hurts, man. It just really, really hurts. And so, for a lot of people, that exact same mindset correlates to how they feel about Duke as well. In terms of, like, the whiteness of basketball, I guess, if you want to word it like that. And even though Duke has had really good players, they're still more adamantly, like, even though they won a national championship with, what's his name, who went to Minnesota, the point guard, Tyrese. And then what's his? I'm losing having a mind fart. Say it again. Tyus Jones and Jahlil Okafor, right? They national championship, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, Duke known for JJ Redick, Grayson Allen, and Christian Laettner. You know what I mean? They're known for those players. For whatever reason, Coach K had a lot of good black players, but for a reason, they're known for those players. And so when it comes to Duke, that same like whiteness mindset of basketball fits into that situation to a T. And I think that same situation hasn't been the case for Gonzaga, because Gonzaga is always like on the cusp of winning the national championship, but like rarely wins the national championship. But like now, since they've been so good for so long and they continue to be as good with a bunch of white players, I foresee that exact same thing happening to Gonzaga that has been the case for Duke.
All right, so one, Phil said, be less than everybody. You go into a game arrogant, you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Two, I think the thing with Duke and like those players that JJ Redick and Leitner and Grayson Allen and them is like, it's not just they're white players necessarily, but they adhere to I guess some sort of preconceived notion in our mind of what a person who goes to Duke would look like, and the kind of image that they would project, kind of a preppy white dude and whatever. And they're also good at basketball, much as like basically no one on planet Earth wants to admit it who's not a Duke fan. And so like they go and like they hit up your team for like 20, you're going to remember that and you're going to despise them off that alone. So, but I'm honestly not sure it's gonna be a thing with Gonzaga though. It wouldn't surprise me, but like a lot of Gonzaga's, like a lot of their more recent success, it's not like it's been a team full of just like white players like that.
I'm not gonna lie to you, for a long time. Wait, for
a long time, yeah.
For a long time, like, in my mind, shoot, Kelly Olynyk. You know what I mean? Like
you're in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah, ain't no brothers out there.
Not even so much. There's none there. It's like, have you ever heard of Gonzaga until like recently?
I mean, I couldn't until just now. I couldn't tell you where Gonzaga was.
Like I had no idea that Gonzaga was even an option until like 2014 when they like popped up in like NCAA tournament.
Like I don't know.
They've been like historically good, but I didn't know.
But they've had that notion of like being, not that notion. They've had that stigma, I guess, of being good in like a pretty much mid-major conference. You know what I mean? So they have, so like they've been tainted a bit. But in the last 3 years, that like has gone away. So like no one's giving them that excuse anymore. And that's why I see them be going in the same direction as like a Duke, because of the direction their university in itself has gone in terms of their basketball, integrity, I guess.
Yeah. So, I feel like they would have to win for like at least another 10 to 15 years for that to actually set in for people.
Man,
like get a whole generation where it's like removed from the fact that they remembered what.
For our generation, that's already been the case.
But the thing is, like when I started paying attention to Gonzaga, right? And this is randomly. This was I think because like Hashimura showed up, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. They got a player from Japan, and it's like, oh, he's black. Okay. But like also like the team was good, and like they had enough, and in that whole stigma of like being in that mid-major conference is why like they schedule their non-con like they do.
Yeah,
that stuff is brutal. Like they just got done playing 2 ranked teams, and they got the number 2 team in the country on Saturday. Like it's not so much they no longer have that, it's that like they've gotten to a point where like those big teams are willing to schedule them. And because those big teams are willing to schedule them, people are going to come and watch those games because there are Kansas fans, there are Baylor fans, there are Wisconsin fans, like fans of those big name, of those like more big name teams. And like you're going to remember, like a lot of people remember Gonzaga because they're good and they probably beat your favorite team. at some point or another in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't remember my point anymore, but like
Probably just went on for a rant.
there was a point. I don't remember how to tie it back and whatever it was we were talking about. I forgot.
Gonzaga.
Yeah. You was talking about
And
the
like
second the whole time, so
I mean, but like so because like the thing is that they weren't scheduling like they schedule. Like the it's not like the perception of them would still be the same, right? They'd just be like, oh, you just beat up on like your crappy little conference or whatever.
Yeah.
Like make sure to schedule tough as hell in the non-conference so that people can't just be like can't like say that. You can't discount the fact that they ran through their conference for like the last decade,
yeah,
right?
Wait,
Because
owned it.
the Japanese
it's
dudes, when you started paying attention to Gonzaga,
mhm.
the
What
Japanese,
about him?
when you started paying attention to Gonzaga,
Hmm.
wasn't it like
Like
2 years
yeah,
ago?
nah. So he was in what last year's draft. I he was a freshman. Like
Okay.
I just ran across his thing or whatever. I don't remember how.
Yeah, because I remember Gonzaga from Kelly Olynyk. That's when I started paying attention to Gonzaga, and I don't even know what year that was, to tell you the truth. Kelly,
That
Kelly's
was
been in the
that
league
was
for.
before then. That was before me.
Yeah, I think that was like 2013.
Yeah, he's been in the league for a while.
Mhm.
But, Gonzaga has made they're not, because they're not a Butler, right? They're not a Wichita State. They're not a person that's like good, but like they had like a crazy 2 year surge. They're above that in a sense, to where that surge has just been incredibly long for a more of a mid-major division school, right? So now they're taking those steps to not just be, and they have been taking those steps to not just be in that same category as those schools, but to be up there with the Kansases and I like in the Dukes and the North Carolinas and things like that. So
I mean, you're gonna get the opportunity to be up there when like you make a national championship game, and most of those players stick around the year after. Like,
but like they were kind of up there beforehand, and I don't see that changing because like Butler was up there for like 2 years, and that's like it, and they could have pulled a Butler, but they haven't, and I don't see that happening at all, honestly. From in the trajectory that they're going.
fairness, I'm pretty sure Butler is tended to remain good, but like unlike Butler, though, is like Gonzaga's had the same coach since like the '90s. Like Mark Hughes been there basically our entire lives.
But like Butler stayed good, but like Butler only had 2 years of elite, like truly elite, and they got lucky to be there. Gordon Hayward, whatever, but Gonzaga has like constantly, or Gonzaga will consistently be on that level, especially if they keep recruiting the way they're recruiting.
That's fair, but like I'm saying though, like the thing about Butler is like Butler will get good coaches, right? And then some, other like high major team with like, one of the name brand teams, what have you, will just come and be like, hey, here's a bunch of money, coach us. And, dudes leave. And like you gotta go and find someone else. And
Shaka Smart.
it's hard to remain good like that, or like at that. I don't make argument. It's hard to remain at that level if you don't have that consistency at coach. Like dudes that go to Gonzaga want to get coached by Mark Hughes. Like if they didn't, they would simply go somewhere else. It's not. It's not about the brand, like a Gonzaga brand necessarily, though. Like they kind of have one at this point, but like it's because of that dudes go to Gonzaga because of the coach, and
Mhm.
because it consistently makes good teams, and they're gonna get to constantly play the best teams in the country.
Yeah, you're right. Can I say this though?
Hmm.
This isn't about Gonzaga, so this might be a switch. And tell me if you agree. That's not won't be. This is not might not be. It will definitely be a switch. Tell me if you agree or disagree. It is championship or bust for you. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, that is that. But that is a reality. Um, and there's not many people up there, right? Who would you say is up there? Duke, um, North Carolina, in terms of basketball, UCLA.
That fan base is delusional right now, but
I
you know,
know, but like in terms of just like school, right?
like,
But UCLA also doesn't have the coach with the tenure of somebody with Bill Self, right? As Bill Self at Kansas. So if you're looking at people with tenure at a school who is also top tier, you're only looking at a select like a very 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 few people. And it might be only Coach K, Roy Williams, and Bill Self. Like it might be just those three who are on the top level.
Izzo,
Coach, say it again.
Tom Izzo, Michigan State.
Oh, Tom Izzo too. My bad. My bad. Hold on. Tom Izzo's one for sure. Tom Izzo's one for sure. And Tom Izzo. How many national championships he has? How many? I can't figure out.
He's got one, I'm pretty sure.
He got one.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing: a lot